Yo, what up, what up, what up? It's the kid, 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 it's the child, it's the child, it's the child. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, yo, what up, yo, what up, yo? It's the kid, it's the kid, it's the kid, trying to live, trying to exist, trying to stay alive. Guys, man, I'm here, I'm in. We're supposed to have a machine here, but obviously machine has gone AWOL. It's gone AWOL, but it's good. We have the kid here with you, HH, giving you these top 10 comic book movies of all time. And when I was making this list, so there are many things that I put into this list. Quality of the film has to be good, it can't be a break. Your impact, but specifically is how well do you adapt from the comic book? What did you do? And how well was your adaptation from the comic book to the film? And I feel that based on all of the ones that I have, I think that this is a pretty comprehensive list. I feel this is a pretty comprehensive list. So it's 10 film. And look, before I even do that, shout out to everyone, obviously in the live chat. I think I've got to give you a few honorable mentions of films that didn't make the list. So these are the films that didn't make the list. I've got to give a shout out to Constantine. Constantine was visually, and I think it was made by a music video director. Constantine was a hidden gem. I don't know how many of you went to go and see Constantine. Now, you don't go and see it for Keanu Reeves. You see it because of the visuals, the way in which they were able to execute some of the scenes. For when it was made, I think this was came out in 2005, the special effects for its time were really good. The special effects for its time were really, really good. So Constantine for me was a real big one. So I also put in a history of violence. A history of violence. This is with Ed Harris and Viggo Mortensen. I didn't know if this was based off a comic book. I thought this was just a straight up film. So when I saw a history of violence, I was like, oh, this is actually it's a really nice idea for a film, just based on just the pacing and just even the plot of the film. Then when I found that it was actually based off a comic book, I was like, oh, wow, this is really good. Like, this felt like a very adult film, and I just like the story. Again, if you haven't seen it, and I think William Hurt is in it as well. So William Hurt, Ed Harris, and Viggo Mortensen. Then Batman Returns was another one. Again, I think I've talked about Batman Returns previously. Batman Returns is a film that I learned to like. It's a film that I learned to like because initially seeing Batman Returns, I was like, it's all right. Isn't that great? But upon multiple watches, Batman Returns has grown on me. And whenever I buy the film, the DVD of a film, I mean, I love it. And the world that Tim Burton created, the very dark, slightly macabre and moody world that Tim Burton created in Batman Returns, I just thought was exceptional. It is the best Batsuit. Nobody will ever come close to equaling what Patient 5 did in Catwoman. First of all, that dress was sexy as heck. That might go down as one of the top 10 sexiest outfits of all time. And what's it called? Yeah. Also, Penguin as well was money. Penguin as well was money. I do remember, yeah, I think that you're talking about history of violence. I think it's Maria Bello and Viggo Mortensen. Yeah. That was quite an intense sex scene. And my last one was Punisher. Not the Thomas Jane Punisher. Not the Thomas Jane Punisher. This, I think it's on YouTube. I think the full film is on YouTube. This is the Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren. Look it up and go watch it. And maybe I may put that as one of the watch-along films that we should have. Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren was a very underrated flick. And I think that even if it wasn't perfect, it's still the best representation of the Punisher that exists. So this is how we now roll, man. This is how we now roll. So I've got my top 10 list, and people may disagree. People may not disagree, but I don't give a damn. Screw you. This is my list. It is what it is. And let's get on with it. So, number 10. So, doing the number 10 was because it's always hard saying, okay, which just about makes the top 10 list? Which just about makes the top 10 list? And this was a film that initially would have never made my top 10, really. So when I made the 10, this wasn't even on my list. But then as I thought about it, I was like, comic book movie. And I was like, I've got to do this one. And see, for me, the sequel was better than the original. The original was cool, but the sequel I felt was better than the original. So my number 10 is, without further ado, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Now, I thought the first film was cool. I thought the first film was cool. And but I thought, you know what, it's lacking something. I don't think that you can find better visuals or more intense, incredible visuals than the visuals that you see in Hellboy 2. I think Hellboy was a great introduction into the world that Guillermo del Toro built. But in Hellboy 2, he took everything to the max. And I think the creature work, the character work, the special effects, the battle scenes, that end scene, just the lighting on some of the stuff is amazing. Because when you look at it, it's that, remember, Guillermo del Toro does a lot of animatronic work. So he works in the animation the department. So everything you see with regards to anything CGI or anything to do with characters or so forth, he has very much vetted. And for me, I just thought that the quality of just that film as a comic book movie was incredible. And for the life of me, and someone needs to explain this to me. For the life of me, I don't understand why he wasn't allowed to finish his trilogy. Because again, I don't really know how much this film made at the box office, but I really do not understand how a film this good was not really, or how they did not really allow him to finish the trilogy of this film, because this thing was absolutely money. It was absolutely money and absolutely off the flipping chain. So Hellboy 2 for me, and again, look, it's not a perfect film. And even as well, I will even say that it's not really like my most favorite film in the world. But that is the mark of a truly great piece of art, is when, even if you're not a huge fan of it, because I never really read the Hellboy comics, it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible just to look at. And for me, that is the essence of the comic book. Because see, people need to understand this, is that the comic book starts with the visuals. That is the first thing. Yes, there needs to be a good story, and there needs to be a good plot and everything, good characters, but it begins with the visuals. And there are very few directors who have a more concise visual eye than Guillermo del Toro does. And that's why for me, this definitely has to be up in there, man. Spoiler alert, Ghost Rider is nowhere near this list. Nowhere near this list. Hellboy, do you know the final scene? The final scene when they fight that the main villain, and they're on these spinning wheels. The level, I cannot name many films in recent years. I cannot name many films in recent years that has better production design, better makeup. That's the key story. That's what better makeup and production design than the characters and the general scenery of that scene. First of all, it's very complicated end scene to do, and how well he was able to do it was incredible. And what baffles me is, okay, you wanted to do a reboot, and I think it's Mike Mignola, who's the creator. This guy actually threw his support behind that total brick reboot, starring the guy from Stranger Things. And looking at the reboots makes me appreciate Guillermo del Toro more, because again, if all you have is just what del Toro does, then you can't really compare it against anything else. But when you see the reboots, that is why I have to give even more kudos for Hellboy and Hellboy 2, because you can see the ridiculous disparity in quality between what Guillermo del Toro did in Hellboy 2 and what that brick did in that flipping Hellboy reboot that looks like a complete piece of crap. So therein goes my number 10 is Hellboy 2. Bro, it's good that you didn't know that there was a reboot. Just completely and totally avoid it. That's all I'll say. See, the reboots of Hellboy was bad, but I still think David Harbour would have made a good Hellboy. This script, you know how you say there are guys who are born for a role, and guys who were made for a role. Ron Perlman is Hellboy, because Ron Perlman is a very particular kind of actor, and there's a very particular kind of energy that Ron Perlman brings. From the moment I saw, you see, that's for me. Even when I saw Hellboy, I was a bit on and off about Hellboy, but one thing that I can't deny is Ron Perlman is Hellboy. He completely and totally just ended that character in the way that he just completely and totally encapsulated that character. So, and David Harbour is he's a very good actor. Let me keep it real. David Harbour is a very good actor. Very good actor. But when a guy just completely owns a role and defines a role, even a superior actor can never do anything better, because that's when this is just right. This is just right. That is why I think you can go onto YouTube. This is during the days when Collider was actually relevant. I think there's a Collider Live interview with Ron Perlman, and how he said he felt slightly angry that they were not allowed to finish their trilogy, and he said that he can't bring himself to support the reboot or even say anything positive about the reboot, because you could see that it's pain, because it's meant a lot to him and to Del Toro. But I think to Ron Perlman, that character, that film meant a lot to him, and he felt so. I just don't understand, and that is why I say that I don't even need to look about how much of the box office they made. It's similar to Blade Runner 2049. 2049 may have not made huge amounts of money, but when the streets give you so much credit and so much love, you owe it to yourself to say, you know what, maybe we can just go a little bit into our pockets and let's just round this off. Because my thing about it is that Hellboy 1 and Hellboy 2 will stand the test of time, because people who haven't seen it, like even for me now, some guys who may not have seen it, they're like, okay, you know what, let me go and see this Hellboy 2. And unless you're not into the arts or you're not into creativity, I find it very hard if you don't appreciate the artistry of comic books, that you watch a Hellboy 2 and you're like, you know what, this is an amazing piece of work, man. So that is my number 9. So number 8. My number 8. Let me just pull it up right now. No, sorry, my number 9. Number 9 is resetting. This is about resetting and rebooting. And I think what this director did can't be overlooked, because he had a hard task on his hands. He had a really, really hard task on his hands. Which one did I say? Okay, cool. He had a very huge task on his hands. But what this film pretty much saved a franchise. This film pretty much saved a franchise. And it was important and it needed to be made. So My number 9 is Batman Begins. Um, we all remember Batman and Robin. Film was gutter trash. We're talking is a scholar and a potential wing. We're talking a scholar and a potential wing. That's how bad Batman and Robin was. And for a long time, Warner Brothers was scared of even making another Batman film based on just the how bad Batman and Robin was. But there was this indie director that came around. He had done two very well received, critically acclaimed films, Memento and Prestige. And Warner Bros. Was like, you know what? Maybe we need to go in a different direction here. And we need to really, because remember, this was post X-Men, post Blade. So there was maybe an avenue and an appetite for a more darker and serious take on comic books, going away from the Batman Forever and Batman and Robin effect. So they didn't bring in a Chris Nolan. But the key thing to Batman Begins that people need to appreciate, this is the greatest cast ever assembled for a film. You can do your Googles, you can do your Wikipedias, you can do your Yahoos. You will not show me a better cast from top to bottom than what you saw here from your boy Chris Nolan. This cast included Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman, Tom Wilkinson, Ken Watanabe. These are 6 starters. These are 6 leading men. Gary Oldman. Sorry, I say Gary Oldman. These are 6 full-on starters. But I think what Batman Begins showed was, wow, you can really just make a film grounded in reality about a comic book, but specifically Batman. So we had never really seen Batman in this light. We'd never seen Bruce Wayne in this light. And we'd just never seen a take like this for Batman specifically, where, you know what, rather than the batarangs, whack power, that kind of stuff, no, like let's put him in a real world setting. And the film was huge. And again, remember, this is Christian Bale coming off of off of American Psycho, Equilibrium, and he was Hot Property. And this was Christian Bale, who was so dedicated to the role that he puts on like crazy amounts of pounds in order to play the role. But I just think, you know, even from the cast, I almost forgot Rocco Hua. You see, for me, Cillian Murphy wasn't really a big name. He wasn't really known. And the reason why I didn't even say Rocco Hua is he wasn't, these are still quality actors, but I'm talking about, see, Morgan Freeman is a legend. Leslie was a legend. Michael Caine was already a legend. Gary Oldman, greatest actor of all time. Tom Wilkinson, already a top legend from all his work in the 80s and in the 90s. Ken Watanabe, this is a guy coming off for Last Samurai, a Japanese legend in his own right. So the amounts of big names, Liam Neeson. So and I think that was what made this film stand out, is we had never seen this caliber of actors to this degree in a comic book film. We'd never seen it before. And I think what Batman Begins really brought to the world of comic books was, oh, wow, we can really, rather than just trying to make them like comic bookies, we can actually look at it and say, you know what, let's try and make these guys proper films, man. But could Christopher Nolan do it in a trilogy closing movie? Okay, look, easy, man. Easy. Just relax, man. So that's my thing then. It's like, you know, Batman Begins. And I remember watching Batman Begins for the first time in the cinema, man, because it was huge. Because this is me as a Batman fan. And I was like fully, like, I was like 100% behind this, man. I was like, man, Batman Begins, you know, and it was an exciting time. This was 2005, you know, 2005 that this film came out. And it was perfect, you know. Obviously, the previous films and the sequel films obviously went a bit haywire. But I think Batman Begins saved the Batman franchise. You have to remember that it's easy to forget that post Batman and Robin, just the mere mention of Batman, people would laugh at it. People would laugh at him and just say, "Oh my gosh, this is just the funny Mr. Freeze." But what Batman Begins did, it's easy. Do you know how guys go on and on about reboots? Everybody was on this whole reboot thing because of Batman Begins. Batman Begins popularized the term reboot because what Batman Begins did was because see this is the thing. Not everything needs to be rebooted. Now, X-Men does because those films are average, but not everything needed to be rebooted. You only reboot when the last film or films in your franchise are so bad and are so crap, you have to go back to square one. And the Batman franchise was in need of a reboot. It was in need of a reboot. Not every franchise is in need of a reboot. You can have a sequence where you have like films that are not really going too well, and then you can then see it sort of veer off. But then it doesn't need a reboot. You can just take it in a different direction. But when the films are so bad, that's where it needs a reboot. Bro, look, compare the casting of Batman Begins with the current Batman film. I don't want to. I personally don't want to. Okay. I would rather not, man. I would rather not. No. I would rather not. Robert Pattinson? No. So, now for the number 8, man. So this, how do I even approach this right now? How do I even approach this right now? See, this right here is a film that's a sequel, and a film that at first I liked, but I was, but you cannot deny the quality of this film, and this film single-handedly, somewhat, as I'll explain, changed the projection of how these kinds of comic book films in this pantheon were to be made based on the success of this film and the people behind them. So the number 8 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Making a sequel is always tough. Making a sequel is always tough. But I think this has to rank as one of the great sequels, is Winter Soldier. From the amazing action scenes, the amazing fight scenes, one-on-one fight scenes, the story itself, it's simply a superb film and a superb sequel. And really what I like and what any great sequel does is that it advances upon the character. It's all the advances upon the character. Now, the thing about Winter Soldier is the drawback I've always had with the film is Black Widow. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Scarlett Johansson. I think she's vastly overrated. And her performance in this, I just thought was very cheesy. You know, I think that, see, there's one thing being effortlessly sexy, and another thing where you're trying so hard to be sexy. I think Scarlett Johansson, I mean, even the director were trying too hard to make Scarlett Johansson sexy rather than just her being effortlessly sexy. So that would just sort of be like, okay, it's too much of a try-hard. But despite that, I don't think it's enough to sort of take away the brilliance of this film. And just even the story, because remember, like, I'm not the biggest MCU fan, and I think my issue with MCU is similar to Pixar, where a lot of the films are sort of too similar. But what I liked about The Winter Soldier was that it felt like a strong departure from everything else we've seen in the MCU. So yes, it still has the jokes there and everything, but I think the Russo brothers and the writers, I think it's McFeely and now the other dude, they really try to hone in on telling a story, a kind of political intrigue story, which I think was cool. So that's right in there is my numero 80. That's my numero ocho. So let me just put this in here as well, man. Let me just see what else you guys say. Oh, sorry. I could just bro. If you saw me put Captain Brickell at number one, that's when you should end me and induct me. If you see me putting Captain Brickell at number one, that's when you should end me and induct me. No way in hell. You know, after I do my top 10, I'm happy to have like a 10-minute discussion about the films I haven't put in. Because some people will be pissed off with some films that didn't make this list. Some of the same films that did not make this list, you know. But yeah, for me, Winter Soldier was a truly quality film. And look, the reason why the Russo brothers were able to do the other Avengers films was what they were able to achieve in this film, you know. So, you know, this I feel was a strong turning point in the MCU, because I think they say that this. See, I don't think the MCU ever truly grew up, but I feel this was an important turning point. Because this was really about, oh wow, we don't have to be overtly reliant on comedy and so forth, man. It's like we can actually tell a more serious story. And I think from this point, when I now look at the rest of the films that came in the MCU, yeah, you still had your Ant-Mans and everything, but the MCU people and Disney were much more open for films to be told in the vein of a Winter Soldier. You still have to have your jokes. You can't be overtly serious. But you know what? Let's try and take maybe a few more tonal risks in the kinds of films that we can bring in through. So, yeah, that is the kind of group one. Jaffa cakes. I am currently eating Jaffa cakes, man. Number 7. Now this is where things get a little bit tricky. This is when things get a little bit tricky. So interesting. Okay. So this number 7, I think this is a supremely fantastic film. You know, I think this is a supremely, amazingly, totally fantastic film. Truly and utterly outstanding. And this, for me, yeah, the film is quality. This has to rank as, for me, one of the best endings to any comic book ever. The best ending to a comic book, I even forgot to say, is Batman Begins. Batman Begins has the best ending to any comic book I've ever seen. But this film has a super ending based on the storyline and what we learn about the characters come the end piece. Captain America Civil War. Now, let me be clear here. Let me be fully clear here. Captain America Civil War is still a Captain America film. Okay? But I'll explain that a bit afterwards. But let me just talk about the film. You see, Winter Soldier was like the introduction into the Russos. And I think Civil War was where the Russos said, okay, this is what we can really do. You know, because in Civil War, it was a more complex story involving a lot more characters. So it was much more difficult for them to achieve success with the tools they had at Civil War, as opposed to achieving success with what they had at Winter Soldier, which was much more of a linear, contained story. But I think the beauty of Civil War is the story. The fight scenes are amazing. Again, that scene at the airports are amazing. And look, as a Spider-Man fan, this is still the best representation of Spider-Man on film, hands down. The best we've seen of Spider-Man on film amongst any film whatsoever is Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War. It's a Spider-Man that I expect. But it is at least close to the ultimate Spider-Man that I want to see. But for me, I just think the story is an amazing story because it's which side are you on? And there are great arguments for both sides. You know, look, I always roll with Cap. Cap is always my dude, but there are people who rolled with Iron Man. And just to see the whole dichotomy of Captain America and Iron Man, to see who would side with Iron Man, who would side with Captain America, and how they were able to come to blows against one another, and how everything builds to that crescendo. And when you see the big reveal and you see the big ending, it makes sense, especially when you watch Winter Soldier. Like, it would be cool if it was like, oh, wow, oh, geez. But it hits even harder because we were shown this in Winter Soldier, but we may have probably missed it. So, like those last 10 minutes, last 15, 20 minutes in that final scene has to be one of the best finales in a comic book film that I've ever seen. So Civil War for me, like it's a truly quality film. And even when I was watching it, I was like, just as our friend said, this is when the MCU grew up. I think the MCU took a massive leap in this based on just what they did with the story. Because again, with all the previous MCU films, you're like, yeah, it's standard and everything. But when you were like, oh wow, they really pushed things. They really went there, you know. And for me, I just felt that based on where things left off in Civil War, we couldn't really they didn't go in the right direction based on where things have left off. And you know what I've always said? This is what I always said. I always said that the ending for Civil War should have just been his shield. That should have been the ending. The ending of Civil War should have just been his shield. And that was it. It should have just merely been his shield and nothing more. So, but and because I think the whole bits afterwards and everything, I was like, this is a bit cheesy. This is a bit cheesy, like all the bits afterwards and everything, man. But again, you cannot deny the quality of Civil War. It's Civil War was underwhelming, man. Let's say how. But okay, in what sense was Civil War on underwhelming to you? Like, again, that's why for me, I am always shocked whenever people say that, oh no, Civil War wasn't that good. I'm like, what else were you expecting? You know, I'm generally curious as to know, like, what else were you expecting from Civil War? Like, basically, how could the film have been better? Because remember, you always have to keep in mind that they're still under the guise and lens of the MCU and what they have to do within the MCU. But even if you do that, like how, so that's always what I found a bit interesting, man. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so that is my numero ocho. So my number 6. Let's check my list. Okay, so now this is where things get tricky, man. Because for me personally, and you will understand why. Maybe I'm a bit biased, but for me personally, you see, this film, this is a big film for me. This is a truly big film for me. You know what? This is a big film for me. Yeah, no. Yeah. I think we're right. It's a big film for me. See, the only reason why this film isn't higher is because of how the ending was handled. Literally, that is the only, because if the ending was handled better in this film, this is arguably like a top 3 film. Because if the ending was done better and was just as clean in the same kind of tone as the rest of the film, this is arguably a top 3 film because 85%, 90% of this film is outstanding. It's superb. And this film completely redefined, not only say redefined the character, but this film clearly defined the character far better than its comic book counterpart. So that is what makes this one of the best adaptations. It's just how well it's improved upon and refined and perfectly illustrated and cut away at the rough edges of how the character was represented in the comic books. And for me, guys, number 6 is Blade. Snipes. That's all we've got to say, Snipes. First of all, for me being just a fan of the vampire mythos and characters and everything, it's always I thought it was first of all, I always love watching vampire films. Not that Twilight crap, but actual proper vampire films. Now, what was cool about this though was the twist on the vampire story. And the twist of the vampire story that they had was, wow, he's a day walker. He can operate in the day, which makes him so much and even much more dangerous because he's half human, half vampire. But the selling point of this film is Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes is the selling point on this film. And I think Snipes' performance in this is huge. Now, I can't be no, we cannot sleep on how well the film was directed. We cannot sleep on how well the film was directed by Stephen Norrington. Because Stephen Norrington does a very good job in shaping the world. Because I think one of the key things to do in comic book films is what's the world? What is the world that our character exists in? What is the character? The world must have a character, and it was so well defined in this. But for me, Snipes is the driving force of the film, and Snipes and Norrington were very much on the same page. We will talk about Blade 2 and Blade 3. Blade 2 and Blade 3 went off the rails because the director and the star, not just the actor, the star and vehicle weren't on the same page. I love Guillermo del Toro. I think he went off the rails in Blade 2. David Esquire is a flipping brick. The less about Blade 3, the better. But for me, Blade is the best opening scene in a comic book film. One of the best opening scenes in any film. But bar none, hands down, it is the best opening scene in any comic book film. Because what is so good about the opening scene is how well it presents the character and the threats of the character. Without saying anything, you know what this character is about, how dangerous he is, and why his enemies fear him, without him having even to say any words. But just for me, why this was so good, and I think it's very important that this was made in the 90s. If the Blade was made in the MCU era, it would not be the same. The fact that this was made in 1998, this came before X-Men. This came before X-Men. The fact that this was made in 1998, I think, is key because the films of the 90s all had a specific aesthetic. You couldn't be making stupid ass bubblegum MCU films back in the 90s. But it was so serious and so edgy from beginning to end. Also, can we please give some love to Stephen Dorff? Can we please give some love to Stephen Dorff? Because Stephen Dorff's performance in this is underrated. Because I think how he plays the villain and how he plays off of Snipes is great. And I think both of them form a great unison. Now, you see, the only drawback of this film is the ending. When Frost turns into Mr. Marshmallow Man. That is the only drawback of this whole thing. Because you have to have had at least better CGI because the CGI is just horrible. Wait, what is it? So you say, but still haven't watched it. Didn't Del Toro direct that before Hellboy? Didn't Del Toro do Blade and Hellboy? He's like, whatever, he hasn't struck out. Yeah, no. Del Toro did Blade 2. He didn't do the first Blade. He did Blade 2. So basically Blade is a quality film. It's an absolutely quality film. But that ending where he basically gets all of the injections and so forth, and he pretty much almost explodes and he expands. It's like really. So that is what was just the most unfortunate because that ending goes against the aesthetic that was built from the film. But guys, man, the level of martial arts that Snipes unfolds and unloads. This film is amazing. Remember, Snipes does his own martial arts work. You need to watch At the Art of War and I think it's Murder at 1600, because Snipes is one of the most underrated actors out there. I put him with Colossal, but how many actors can do action, their own stunts, drama, and comedy, as well as martial arts? No one can. You see, there is no other actor like Snipes who can do action well, drama well, comedy well, and martial arts. But what I will say though is, I do think that Michael Jai White is underrated though. He's an underrated actor. But I think, remember, Snipes, his first film was the Bad music video with Michael Jackson. Like, Snipes can be a damn good actor, and he's also a very good martial artist. You know what? People will call me crazy. In a different world, imagine Snipes as Neo. I'm just saying. He can act. He can do martial arts. Imagine Snipes as Neo. I'm just saying. But yeah, look, for me, I think, Blade, Blade is my movie, man. And I don't recognize, accept those garbage films that came afterwards, man. Tom Cruise can't do martial arts. Now, Tom Cruise is amazing. Tom Cruise is my hero. I will cape for Tom Cruise all the way. But Tom Cruise can't do all those things, man. Tom Cruise cannot do all those things, man. But like Snipes is just on a different level. And also the funny thing is that I think Snipes even said that when he was on set during Blade, he would stay in character all through the time. And the funny thing is that if you buy the Blade DVD and you see Snipes' interviews on the Blade DVD, he's actually still talking in that manner. So the dude is actually still talking in that kind of like very low, deep manner that I have later. Whistler. Yes. So it's amazing, man. But yeah, man. I think you're right here. Too much black. If the world wasn't ready, Morpheus and Neo 2 beating the white. The thing about it though is, because Will Smith was supposed to be Neo, and he rejected it. And Will Smith even said that one of his biggest regrets was not doing The Matrix. Because remember, Will Smith, he rejected The Matrix for, drumroll, Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West. But yeah, it was true. Like for me, I just because the funny thing is, and this is it. I think this is just the sad reality. If Snipes, let's say, was Neo, you'd probably have a different dude as Morpheus. You'd obviously have a different dude as Morpheus, which would obviously be unfortunate. Yo, Infinity baby, what up? What up? So actually, let me even put this up. So basically, so look, Blade was that dude, man. Blade was that freaking dude, man. So, and that is why I just think that it is so unfortunate what happened to him in the sequels. I fully believe that this isn't a conspiracy. He was screwed over by the studio. Because how do you see Blade 1 and in Blade 2 you give this guy a flipping scene? How do you do that? How do you see Blade 1 and you give this guy a flipping scene in Blade 2? And in Blade 3 was just a complete and utter ish fest. A complete and utter ish fest. But yeah, man, look, man, Blade. Also, as well, Blade is the reason why vampires are respected. Come on, guys, we've basically seen that image of Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart sitting down as vampires, and you see basically was his stamps behind them, like hovering, saying, "Yo, yo, yo, what the hell are you guys doing sooner?" Uh, so, uh, bro, on the money. Blade One was the first truly serious and dark comic book film where there were no like where this was like really edgy because obviously you had someone that was somewhat serious, Batman that was somewhat serious, Punisher, but this was the first one that was actually a truly serious and quality, serious, dark and quality. Although Infinity, I was saying to this guy earlier, man, a hidden gem, a hidden gem is the Dolph Lundgren Punisher film. A hidden gem is that Dolph Lundgren Punisher film, bro. That is a hidden gem, man. All right, let's see what else guys do. So we're now into our top five, man. We are now into our top five. This is now where it gets sticky. So people may call me crazy for this one, but I will do my best to defend why this is in number five. My number five, this for me is taking everything into account, the best origin film. Because when I say origin film, is why did this guy become this dude? What was in this guy's character? How well did you define this character? How well did you sell the idea that he became this dude? How well do you form the very fiber and foundation of this character? And I think this film does it better than any other film in terms of forming and properly illustrating and telling an origin story in a way in which is believable and makes you connect with what the character is about. So for me, my number five is Captain America, the first Avenger. No, so let me lay down the field. When this film was announced, I said no. No, F you, no. Because I thought that the very notion of Captain America is cheesy, zero-dimensional, void of any character, and just basically he's like the worst version of Superman because as boring and as much of a Boy Scout Superman is, at least he's flipping Kal-El. At least he's from a different he has superpowers. At least he's from a different planet, you know. So Captain America is not even from a different planet. He's just an American guy who is a Boy Scout, all red, white, and blue. Sounds like nah. So even when they showed the trailer and even when I saw the outfit, I was like, okay, the outfit looks dumb and stupid. When I saw the trailer, I was like, for the life of me, I have no idea why I went to watch this film. Wait a minute, wait. Yes, I think because I watched this film. Yeah, I watched the film with my brother and my sister before we flew to Nigeria. I think we're going to Nigeria either tomorrow or in the same day. I'll be pretty sure all watch it together. So I think it was maybe my brother that said, "Look, let's just watch this film." So when I watch this film, see the thing about me is I am big on story. I'm storytelling and telling a good story. You can have all the CGI in the world, you can have all the effects in the world. I'm all about telling a really good story. Off the bat, this is one of the best castings in any film I've seen. The reason why this casting is so amazing is because Chris Evans is an average actor. I don't care what anyone says. Chris Evans is average. Okay. He's not a great actor. He's not rubbish. He is just an average actor. How Joe Johnston was able to see Human Torch and say, this guy can be a Captain America, I have no idea. Because you would think that they would go for a more cheesy Chris Spanish, just like a more cheesy, boring dude. But he looked and saw something interesting enough in Chris Evans to lead this. And the beauty of this film is you buy the character. You buy the character. The reason why people care so much about Captain America all through the MCU was what Chris Evans and Joe Johnston laid down in this film. And for me, I'm also big on music as well. my ringtone is the Captain America theme tune. And a great theme song is vital, is vital to really making a comic book film pop because the theme song is the very character and personality of the film. So from the very moment you just see the theme kicking, you buy him, but it's the origin. He's thin, he's small, he's skinny, he gets pushed over. But even if this guy is full on skinny, he still wants to be he still wants to fight in the war. His character was such a big selling point and it was so well defined in this film. Again, I think even someone even said before, one of the best scenes in this film, just one of the best scenes in comic books movies history, is the grenade scene, where Tommy Lee Jones throws in a fake grenade and he goes over and jumps on it. And because so that just shows that no, he's willing to fully sacrifice his life because he so believes in the idea of sacrifice and being a soldier and doing all he can for his country. So, and for me, the thing about it is that it's remember Joe Johnston Joe Johnston was he so Joe Johnston worked for Lucas. And I believe I need to check this, but I believe Joe Johnston came up with the visual concept of the of Boba Fett. So the bounty hunt and everything, that image, Mandalorian and everything, that idea, visual concept came up with Joe Johnston because Joe Johnston was working with Lou Lucas during I think Return of the Jedi. So he's a great visualist, and also he also did The Rocketeer, another good underground film. And I think that his strong visual style was so key in this because, again, I go back to the whole thing of the concept of the comic book. The comic book starts with the visuals. It starts with the drawing. It starts with what you see visually. And his visual eye was so key for making this film pop. But also, like, this is a throwback. And maybe it's because I grew up with films in the 90s. What I liked about this film was that it wasn't trying to be complicated. It wasn't trying to be cynical. It wasn't trying to be contemporary or cool. It was just trying to tell a good story. That was it. It was just trying to tell a good story about a good guy. And it's even harder telling a great, effective story with a Boy Scout. It's easier if a guy is dark, his mistress is an anti-hero. But a guy who is a goody two-shoes is amazing, which is why Captain America... What Captain America is what Superman should be. You know that crap Man of Steel, all that nonsense and garbage, trying to make Superman this kind of cool, edgy dude. No. What they made and achieved with Captain America, which was started with first Avenger, is what they tried to do with Man of Steel, but they failed miserably. That is what I say, man. So, no. So there's a customer. There's a good film in general, but some may call it average. But as a comic book film, no, it's for me. It's. But you know what I say though? I'll go even further. I still say it's a good film. I'll say, I'll say no. It is still a very, very good film. It is a very, very good film because for me, the beauty of this film is its simplicity. The beauty of this film it's a simplicity, the simplicity and just how well it tells the story. Because I see dozens of comic book films and the pacing may be off, may not lasting, may veer off. But first Avenger, from beginning to end, everything just works, and all of the key points just really hits home. All the key points just really hit home. Bro, Alan Silvestri is that dude, man. Alan Silvestri is that flipping dude, man. Alan Silvestri is that big flipping dude. Because again, look, he did Back to the Future as well. Don't forget, he did Back to the Future. He did Predator, and of course, the Avengers film and everything. So Silvestri is definitely a goat. I'm not a Captain America fan. See, that's the thing, and I'm going to go into this into much more detail when we go into the later parts of this. I hated Captain America. I thought that the dude was cheesy, but the way Joe Johnston presented him in this film was like, oh, this guy's cool, because A perfect guy, goody two shoes, is boring to me. But if you make it in a way of where being good is actually difficult and puts you in difficult situations, but you admire a guy's steadfastness in maintaining his morality through the most difficult situations, that is something to be, that's something that we try and aspire ourselves to. So for me, I'm not a Captain America fan, but I'm just a Captain America fan in the way that he was presented in these films. Like there was a Captain America film that was made even earlier, and for me, I was like, ugh, it wasn't. I mean, it was. See, now that was cheesy. That was cheesy. So we are now coming close. Oops, what the hell? We are now coming close to the biggie. Coming close to the biggie. So my number four. Number four. Let's just see. So you see, we're gonna talk about this because for me is a true crowning achievement. This one is a true crowning achievement. This number four is a true crowning achievement. And I, even when this film was announced, I thought it was stupid. When I saw the trailer, I thought it was stupid. Before I went to watch the film, I thought it was stupid. As soon as they were about to go through it, I thought this was just completely honestly stupid. But after I saw the film, I was like, how did they actually manage to pull this off? Or rather, how did he manage to pull this off? So my number four is the Avengers. Now, guys, let me level with you right now. You want me to sit down and watch a film with Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, and all these dudes dressed in tights and not laugh my face off? I was like, give me a break. When this was announced, I was like, okay, guys, okay, MCU have now jumped to the shark. I'm out. I said, this is just gonna look stupid. I remember when I saw that trailer. I saw a trailer and said, this looks like a pile of crap. Okay, how do you go from Blade, Batman Begins to this complete gutter trash? As I say, this is a kiddies film. So it's like all the good work that was done from all these serious comic book films is not going to be trashed by me watching guys in flipping Halloween costumes. And for me, I said to myself that I'm not going to watch this film. And that's the thing for me. When I see a trailer and I think it's trash, I don't watch the film. I'm like, no, I'm done. For the life of me, I don't know why I went to go and watch it. Because normally, if a trailer is trash, I don't watch the film. I don't watch the film. I saw that Spider-Man 1 trailer, trash. I was like, I'm out. So I think it was a case of curiosity. And maybe what it was that because I was cool on Iron Man, I loved the Captain America films. I was like, you know what? Let me just go in there. If it's trash, it's trash. But out of curiosity, let me just see how crap this is. Now, I don't know how Joss Whedon pulled this off. To this day, I still don't, because it should be stupid. And Captain America's costume is stupid. But the film works. The film works. This is the definition of a comic book movie. And I think what Joss Whedon was able to do was, you have to give him credit, because remember, the film format is so different from the comic book format. Hence why I thought it was going to fail miserably. Because it's like, you can't literally bring in the comic book world into a film, which is a little precursor as to why I picked my number one. But we'll see that there. So as I was looking at it, I was like, okay, wait. But what Joss Whedon did was, you know what? I am going to bring the same sense of fun and camaraderie and zip that you have in these comic book films into this film. And I think what made this work was a really, really good script. And why I think Avengers is so great is, oh wow, you can do positive and light-hearted and not be Batman and Robin. You don't have to, because for me, my notion was, oh no, if it isn't dark and serious, you can't make it into a film. But what Joss Whedon says, no, 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 no. You can do light-hearted with jokes galore, humor, and fun, but it can still be done in a coherent manner that still makes sense. Even when Avengers was on Netflix, I would just put it on. I'm like, yeah, man, I can watch this. It's paced well. It's run. I'm like, even when I was like, this isn't supposed to work. But I find myself laughing at the jokes. I find myself into the story, and I find myself just going through with just the kind of mood that Joss Whedon sets. And you cannot deny the importance of this film. It's still the best Avengers film. Because I don't have Civil War as an Avengers film. So you cannot deny the impact of this film. Like, it's basically, do you know what? Avengers is what DC will be chasing for the rest of their lives. I am begging you. You don't have to. Compare Avengers to that complete and total scholar class A, bona fide class A times break Justice League. And that is why you should give Avengers even more credit. Because if you get it wrong, you get Justice League, which is an embarrassment. So that is why you need to take a step and say, you know what? No. This thing is full on quality, man. So basically, so Avengers 1 slowly becomes better as I rewatched it. My only complaint is there was a bit too much humor, and that bled into every other MC film. But see, my thing about it was I didn't even find that as a complaint. It is what it is. Avengers is not my personal favorite because, as you said, it has probably a bit too humor for me. But I can take a step back and be like, I find the humor funny. Like 90% of the jokes I find funny because Joss Whedon was able to, his comedic timing with it and the way he was able to direct and the way that guys put forth the stuff worked really well. Chris Hemsworth as Thor is a flipping brick. We have to discuss how Chris Hemsworth bricked all those Thor films. The best I've seen Thor was in Avengers because he was able to understand the character of Thor and understand how he works in an ensemble, but also how he works as a character, which the other Thor films failed to do. But I respect Whedon because it is a comedy. It is a comedy, but it's a well-made comedy, man. It is a well-made comedy. So guys, I'm gonna talk about all the films I left off. Don't worry. I'm gonna talk about all the films I left off, man. You see, for me, that's the thing is like, Joss Whedon. I'm gonna answer your question there. See, Joss Whedon. Apparently, he had a whole lot of because Age of Ultron wasn't bad. It was all right, but it wasn't like Avengers. And I do feel like there was quite a lot of studio interference apparently with Age of Ultron. But I think that he had a lot more freedom to maneuver with Avengers. Hence, why Avengers were just able to work so well in this. See, the reason why I didn't include Joker is I don't see Joker as a comic book film. You see, Todd Phillips finessed comic book fans. He finessed comic book fans and Warner Brothers in order to get Joaquin Phoenix in a big time film and for him to make a film seen by millions. That's what he did. Because remember, because Todd Phillips said, like, because after he did War Dogs, he was like, man, what I think I have to do one of these comic book films for people to come out and come and watch one of my films. So he used Joker and the comic book aesthetic as an excuse just to make a film, just to make a film. So for me, I don't even think of Joker as a comic book film. Yeah, it's based on a comic book character. I don't think of it as a comic book film. It's just a film. That's just use the whole comic book aesthetic to as an excuse to get greenlit. So I don't really use that whole thing there, man. Um, so so Guardians of the Galaxy was the film Justice League and Avengers should have been. Facts. Avengers was nothing without Hulk in that. The first film to get. See, for me, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's really good, and I think it's maybe an honorable mention. But for me, there were some very cringy, cheesy bits in Guardians of the Galaxy that I thought, um, and as a film, it just didn't feel as tight and as concise as Avengers. I think basically Avengers has more rewatchability than Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Guardians of the Galaxy, there's some scenes where like, okay, okay, this gets a little bit old. And actually, in one of my previous jobs, my work colleague actually gave it to me as as like a present, so that was actually pretty cool. Um, see, uh, one day we're gonna have an Infinity War discussion. Maybe not now, but one day I'm willing and I'm happy to have an Infinity War discussion. I think the best Avengers film is the Avengers because it is the one film that truly captured the team ethic of these guys working together. Now, my favorite is Endgame. Because Endgame for me, Endgame is the greatest cinematic experience for me. That cinematic experience of Endgame was outstanding. And shout out to the dude who basically gave me tickets to opening night in the IMAX. I see that's the whole thing about the whole COVID thing, man. Guys, I miss going to the cinema, man. If COVID is still like, if I can't watch Dune in my IMAX Odeon locks with my reclining chair and everything, I am gonna beat someone up. I am gonna beat the living crap out of someone, man. Um, yeah, no, see, thing about Joss Whedon is this: I hate Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was why I thought this would be a brick. I despise Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The writing, the jokes, and everything. So I said, wait a minute. You want to put guys in tights, and it's directed and written by the guy who did Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay, this is a failure. So again, I have no idea how the dude who did Buffy, a blonde vampire hunter, how that's turned around and became a quality thing, man. So no, bro. I said again, look, man. If I can see Dune in the cinema, then I'm gonna start having fights, man. Like it's bad enough you've done all this stuff right now. I can't watch Dune in the cinema, really, because hopefully, see, I hope that it's not been delayed. I think they finished. I think they have finished filming, so I think it's just post production. Same thing with Tenet. I think Tenet they finished filming, so it's post production. So I think Dune is all post production. So they're now in the editing bay, which can be done remotely. Thank God. But if they say that I cannot watch Dune in the cinema, I'm going to start fighting people, man. I'm going to start fighting people, man. Wait, sorry. So, guys, Infinity War is overrated. I'm sorry. I don't know whether you want to, when you want to discuss it, but Infinity War is flipping on. It's overrated, bro. All right, let's go. let's talk about this right now. So, number three. Now we're getting to the big boys. Now we're getting to the big kahunas. Big kahuna. Um, Now we're getting to the real big, massive kahuna ghoulies. The kahuna ghoulies. So, um, this is where it gets big. This is where it gets real big. This one is, many people consider this the greatest comic book movie of all time. This redefined. No, 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 no. This completely and totally characterized what the character is. This actor so did an incredible performance of this in this role and in this character. Nobody has even come close, and everyone keeps getting compared to him. Before this film, there were no comic book films. They didn't really exist. And this film came out during what many people consider the golden age of Hollywood. So even the notion of making a comic book film during this time was absurd. And what they wanted to convince you that they could do was even more absurd based on the lack of CGI and effects. But you can't have a top 10 comic book movie list without having this film based on what it did and how it helped launch pretty much the genre and the franchise. And people will argue this is definitely one of the most definitive defining performances in a comic book movie. Why does I still say number three? Oh yeah, sorry. We are with number three. So the number three is Superman 1. Superman flipping 1. People have to understand what the film's about. As I said previously, the character of Superman is boring. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Superman fans will try and convince you, oh, Superman is so cool. No, 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 no. Superman in the comics was a class A brick. Boring, one-dimensional, and not interesting at all. So the notion of a Superman film, you're like, oh, okay, he's cheesy, goody two shoes, and everything, but so obviously you have your boy Richard Donner coming in. So this is Richard Donner, which is going in pre-lethal weapon. So the key thing is this is casting someone big. Of course, you had Gene Hackman, who was Lex Luthor, and Gene Hackman was obviously known since his big film French Connection had come out earlier on, and they also did the conversation with Coppola. So Gene Hackman was obviously the big main name. So then there's this kid Christopher Reeve, Juilliard educated dude and everything. And I think the casting of Superman, aka Kal-El, was very important and very real because this helped to really add substance. Oh, I forgot Brando. You see, what they wanted was they knew that, all right, how do we get people to take this whole comic book thing seriously? Because remember, you have to keep in mind, context is key. This came out in the 70s. This is around the time of Godfather, flipping the conversation, flipping Space Odyssey. This is the times of film like Rocky, Taxi Driver, films, Network. So some of the greatest films in Hollywood history were around this time. So guys were like, no, well, why the hell should we green light if we're making a comic book movie at this time? But Donald was like, if we can show that Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman are in this film, people will take us seriously. But you still need to have your star. And in that star was Christopher Reeve. You see, What Christopher Reeve did was everybody knew the Superman character. Everyone knew what it was about. You see, Christopher Reeve could have gone the Henry Cavill route. And the Henry Cavill route is, oh, stiff upper lip, so good, so positive, and just very one dimensional and very obvious. But Christopher Reeve was like, no, I'm going to give this character depth. I'm going to go right deep into this character. I beg you, there's a thing called YouTube, this video thing where you can watch videos and stuff. Go and type in Superman reaction when Lewis dies and when he turns back time. That for me is some of the best piece of acting I've seen in any film, not only comic film. That's one of the best piece of acting I've seen in any film. His reaction to that is incredible. So Christopher Reeve gave Superman depth. He gave him levels. He made him three-dimensional, where you don't even think about that boring Boy Scout break in the comic book. You think about, oh my gosh, this is an alien. You know, a guy coming in from another planet and trying to live as a human being and trying to live with these quote human values. The first 50 minutes of Superman, has to rank as some of the best opening 50 minutes to any film ever, in terms of the directing, the incredible John Williams score and music, and the way they present the story. From the moment you see Krypton to the moment you see Superman fly towards you, those 50 minutes is what you call cinematic tier one. Cinematic tier one. But remember, guys, this was without CGI. And how they were able to make you believe a guy could fly and how he was able to fly, you don't understand. That would have blown your head off back in the late 70s. Like, wait. What? This is pre-Jurassic Park, pre-Matrix, pre-T2, pre-all the kind of pre-MCU. So to see a guy flying like that, people are like, wait, what the hell is this? So the importance of this and what this did for comic book movies, because see, the success of this opened up the possibilities of, oh, wow, maybe there is something in this. Maybe there is something in this. So Superman 1 is a critical seminal moment in comic book films, man. You know, I liked Michael Keaton. I'm not a fan of Smallville. For me, this is what I always say to my friend. I said, how do you have a TV series where it's 10 years in Smallville, where he only spent a small amount of time? Didn't he fight Doomsday in Smallville? It's like, how is this dude fighting Doomsday in Smallville? Like, how's that possible? So yeah, that's really good saying, man. All right, you see, Superman, because obviously, look, I mean, Superman 2 is around there and everything, man. But Superman 2, see, it depends. There's this thing called Superman 2, the Donner cut. Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. And that's Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. Look, man, Rodney, you're wild, man. See, that is much better. It's much better, but you have to fight. Remember, Richard Donner was having issues with the studio heads, so there was a bit of conflict with regards to when he was making that second film. But if you look at the Donner cut, which is it's not everything that Donner wanted to do, but it's definitely much better than this one too. And I met Zod. I don't know what I still do, but I got the signature of Zod. Guys, dun, 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 dun. Ba, 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 ba. Dee, 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 dee. That's soundtrack. Guys, that's like an all-time soundtrack. John, Star Wars is I. Star Wars is I. That Superman soundtrack that John Williams laid down is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And guys, can we keep it real? The most recognizable theme song is the Superman theme song. Like that is literally the most recognizable theme song of all time. 100%. The most recognizable theme song of all time. Um, so that's a small story. So I was in Green Park. I don't know how many. If you guys are in London, you probably know what Green Park is. Green Park is quite like a trendy area of like sort of like tourists and sort of. So I was in Green Park, and you know what I always do? I love to just walk around London and stuff. Just walk the streets. So, and I think this is why I meet so many celebrities because I am very good at recognizing faces. I'm amazing at looking at and recognizing faces. So I'm in Green Park and I'm at Starbucks and I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that dude. But then I started walking away. So wait, no, 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 I recognize that dude. And I was like, I looked closer and again, I was like, oh my god, that's Terrence Stamp. And I'm like, I can't just stand in the on the pavement just staring at the dude because people would just think I'm a freak. So look, grow your balls, boy, get in there. So I didn't know what his name was. I was like, oh my god, what's his name? I know he's Zod, but I was like, what's his name? So I was like, damn it. I can't ask for a guy's photograph if I don't know what his name is. Because I say, okay, so I wanted to say, okay, yo, please, Mr. Stamp, can you please sign my autograph? I was like, I don't know what his name was, but I said, you know what? I can't not get this dude's autograph. And I just saw him based on just how iconic he was growing up. Like, screw it. I went in and he was talking to this lady, why are you having attitude? No one knows who the heck you are. I'm sorry, this is flipping Terrence Stamp. So you're going to have to put up with people like me and others trying to get his autograph. So don't give me any attitude. So I went to him and I said, are you Zod? Because I didn't know his name. So I said, look, all I know is that you're Zod. To me, you're Zod. I don't know what your name is, but you're Zod. So I said, are you Zod? And it was like, yes, the one with a smile. And I was like, yeah. Then I was like, please could you sign my autograph? And he was like, yeah. And he signed my autograph, Zod. And I was like, man, this guy's a legend, man. This guy's a legend. So it was funny, man. No, that was funny, man. But yeah, look, case in point, try and actually remember the what's it called? Try to actually remember the name of the dude you're about to see. That always helps, man. Funny thing, so basically, Marlon Brando, I think, was paid several million for like was practically about 2 or 3 scenes. 2 or 3 scenes. And people say, oh my gosh, how greedy can they do? How can you pay these guys that much money for such little work? When you look at how good Brando was for that short amount of time, it was worth the money because again, just having Brando on the billing brought you so much respectability and so many eyeballs on you because trust me, a lot of people would have gone to watch that film because Marlon Brando is in it. It's flipping Marlon Brando. So, but what Marlon Brando did for that short period of time in that film was flipping iconic. So he does deserve that cash. 100% he does deserve that cash. What are you guys saying, man? All right. Let's go on to number 2. Superman 1 definitely made a huge impact. But for me, this film is was the catalyst of the comic book movie genre. And this film pretty much opened up the idea of no, this can literally be its own viable genre and its own industry. This is the most impactful comic book movie of all time. This is definitely the most impactful comic book movie of all time. And when this hit like a flipping bazooki. This hit like a flipping bazooki. And when you find out what went into making this film, the amount of pressure that was on the director and the amount of pressure that was on the director's pick to play the role, so many things could have gone wrong. But the way in which everything just fell in line makes this such a seminal, quality, amazing comic book film. So, my number two, my numero due is Batman. Batman. You have to understand that, look, after Superman 1, guys were hype. Boom. Comic book movies, boom, we're doing all that kind of stuff. But there was still a massive lull in the 80s. Yeah, there are a few films here and there, like Darkman and everything, but nothing really popping off. So you can't have Superman and not have Batman. So the thing here is this. Before this film singularly redefined the character, it totally and completely redefined the character and changed how people viewed the character from his comic book origins. Before this, Batman was known to the world, not to comic book fans, but Batman was known to the world as Pow, Zooey, Whack. Batman was known as a guy who wore grey pajamas and fought crime at 12 midday. 12 midday? No, 12. Let me see. 12 midday, you can find a guy with a pot belly, grey pajamas, blue cowl, next to a 11-year-old kid with a green cape, red and yellow tights. Shout out to Adam West, shout out to and Bob Ward. That Batman TV show was ridiculous. It was it was a comedy show. And even Batman in the comics, he wore gray. So his costume was gray and everything. So, and for me, I'll be real with you. My comic book of choice was Spider-Man. Because for me, I was like, Batman did not look cool to me in the comics. I was like, what's this dude doing in flipping gray pajamas? Get the out of here, bro. But when Tim Burton came in and said, you know what, I'm going to say what's up. Tim Burton said, you know what, I am going to what's up. And Tim Burton, the first thing he said was that this guy has to be black. This guy has to look black and wear black, jet black, 100%. But the key thing about this one guy's casting is key. Michael Keaton. This is the most risky and the most vilified and most criticized casting perhaps of all time. Because again, how do you go from Adam West, square jaw, again, remember, in the comics, Bruce Wayne is represented as a playboy, one-dimensional, the suave, good-looking, 6'5", kind of, one-dimensional, boring dude. So how do you go from that to a Michael Keaton who a lot is going on in his face? He's got a lot of character, he's got a lot of attitude. He is the complete opposite of suave, graceful, like the Hugh Jackman type. Remember, this is the guy that is coming from clean and sober and Beetlejuice. But Tim Burton was like, no, this is my guy. If he wants me, this is my guy. And the casting of Michael Keaton and what he did set the tone for what this film was about. Now, this isn't the Batman that you've seen in the comic books. This is a Batman that actually makes sense. and actually works for what this character is about. So for me, and look, Jack Nicholson was huge. Jack Nicholson was flipping huge because Jack Nicholson's casting again was brought people in. And people have to remember, Jack Nicholson had never done a comedy. He never done a comedy. He had never done a kids film. So people's interest was, oh my gosh, Jack Nicholson in a comic book film as the Joker. So all those things together, but the key player was Tim Burton. Obviously Danny Elfman's iconic music, but what Burton was able to do in sense of, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to, because the beauty of Batman and the beauty of why this is such an amazing comic book movie is it has its comic book aesthetics, but it works well in the film. You see, Superman 1 is just a film. They literally just made a film based off a comic book, a pro film. But the beauty of Batman was, which is why this was really the start on the comic book genre, was it was really a comic book movie because the feel, the aesthetic, the style was like a comic book. The feeling was like a comic book, but the beauty was Tim Burton was able to perfectly balance the comic book world and the film world in this, which is why this makes it such an iconic film. I'm so glad that you brought this up because people always say like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, see, I hate the whole comparison of Nicholson legend. No, they were doing different films, and when you watch the behind the scenes, Nicholson said that no, I was trying to scare kids. I'm not trying to scare adults. This is not. Say, I'm not bringing The Shining into this. This has completely nothing to do with The Shining. This is merely. This is purely me just. This is just me just trying to scare kids. I'm doing this mainly for kids, and that's it. I'm doing this for kids, and that's it. And that was what was keeping. See, yes, Tim Burton and Daniel Elfman, I think for me, they were really big reasons why that worked. Tim Burton's directing, his vision, his overall vision, of course, Daniel Elfman's music. But for me, as a kid, as a kid watching, the thing that made the biggest impression upon me was Michael Keaton's performance and just how nuanced it was. Because for me, the guy that steals the limelight is Jack Nicholson and everything, and he's the louder guy. But the guy that I was more interested in was the mysterious guy, the guy that doesn't say much, the guy that's just far much more quiet and just is much more contained. And that was just the guy that I found much more interesting. So that's why for me, the um what Michael Keaton did was also it's an understated importance part of why that film worked so well. It's an understated part of why that film worked so well. Um, I get this, but you do know that you can. There are characters that still wear black in there's still characters that wear black, and you do know that because say that maybe because the rest of the environment was black, they needed to maintain contrast while many dark. You do know that, and I've seen this. I've seen them do things before. It's like when someone wears that black costume, you can do a white outline and do white streaks to then show its contrast, or even you can even do like a dark shade of gray, a really dark shade of gray. Light gray is wild. Light gray is what? There are still ways in which, if you have a good colorist and so forth, you can still maintain the different sense of contrast in it. So you didn't have to make him wear gray pajamas, bro. He's also making great, great pajamas. Um, but oh no, that's one of the great scenes, man. One of the great comic book scenes is him driving to the Batcave. Him driving to the Batcave is incredible. It's an absolutely incredible, amazing scene. Just the directing, the music, the little kind of back and forth between Vicky Vale and Batman. Oh no, it is a beautiful, beautiful, amazing scene. It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful, amazing scene, man. Um, oh, you see, and also you see the only drawback, the only drawback, the only drawback I have of um Batman is Vicky Vale. Now, oh gosh, I forgot what her name is, but the lady who was Sean Young, who was in Blade Runner, she was supposed to be Vicky Vale, a much better actress than Kim Basinger. She was supposed to be Vicky Vale, but she had a horse riding accident and she couldn't do the role because she was injured. So Kim Basinger came in the last second. And Lucy, she doesn't detract from the film or take it down, but you could never tell that she's not the greatest actress. She's not the greatest actress. And I have no idea how she was able to win a flipping Oscar. That's insane. Michael Keaton's Batman made me want to be Batman. Batman maybe. See, Bale in the Bale in Batman Begins was damn good. Bale in Batman Begins I thought was really good. Subsequent films, it went down like that's Batman voice is amongst one of the worst and most uncomfortable things I've ever had to experience in a film. But Michael Keaton's the beauty of Michael Keaton's Batman was how underplayed it was. It wasn't forced. It was just much more focused, man. Basically, it was just much more focused and everything. So that's why I liked it, man. Um, but yeah, man. So basically, look, Batman was it was a hugely important film, man. If there's no Batman, I'm not sure whether there would even be a comic book movie movement, because the reason why studios were even interested in putting so much money into films was how much money Batman, because Batman was a box office behemoth. It was a box office behemoth based on what it did for toys, what it did for merchandise, and just what it did as a whole, man. It was a box office behemoth, man. So, does anyone know what my number one is? we have reached the end point. Does anybody know what my number one comic book movie is? We've had the thing. So let's go from 10 to 1. Sorry, let's go from 10 to 2. Let's go from 10 to 2 again. So number 10 was Hellboy. Golden Army was now number 10. Number 9, Batman Begins. Number 9 was Batman Begins. Number 8, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Number 7, Captain America, Civil War. Number 6, Blade, Snipes, keeping it black. Number 5, Captain America, the First Avenger. Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 4, The Avengers. The Avengers. Number 3, Superman 1. Number 2, Batman. And so who let me just see what I guess. Nobody has it. I'm going through the things. Nobody this nobody has guessed what my number one comic book movie is. Nobody has guessed it. So my number one comic book movie of all time, drum roll, is no, build up. When I think of a comic book movie, is what film captured the essence of the comic book. No other comic book film has better captured the very essence of a comic book than this. Nothing. Because that's why when you think of the list, is like, okay, these are all good comic book films, but which film was literally the best adaptation in making you feel what the emotions and what it feels like reading a comic book, but on film? And what this dude was able to do, I think, completely supersedes what any other comic book film has done in history. So the number one comic book film of all time is. Are you ready? All right, guys. Okay, all right, guys. That's the end of the stream, man. So, guys, thank you for joining in. I hope you enjoy this. Remember to subscribe. Remember to like the vid. Remember to sort of, basically remember to comment close and everything. And I hope so tomorrow I will be doing my Japan thing. Obviously, I will be up. So tomorrow is going to be my trip to Japan and everything. So it's all gonna. And guys, remember, be cool, be good, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Stay true and stay real. And I'm out. Okay. All right. Yo, guys, easy. Come on, guys, it's about building up. You don't need to be rude to the kid. Okay, you don't need to be rude to the kid. Okay, we don't need to be abusive here. You don't need to be abusive. Okay. The number one, actually, this was close. This was very close. This was very close though. This was very close. Number one comic book film is there we have it, guys. There we have it, guys. This is numero uno. Numero uno, head honcho, head king, top of the pile, doing its thing, the head of everything. Sin City. Sin City. Sin City. Now, I think what helped me pick this was a conversation that I had with my brother, who's like an artist before, because I from I was like, no, it's Batman, it's Superman, it's Batman, it's Superman. Sammy, man, I don't know what to say, man. If you've never heard of Sin City, I don't know what to say, man. I really don't know what to say. Mo, yes, Jessica Alba was let's just say she was very expressive in this. Um, this is there is no other comic book film that looks like this, feels like this, moves like this. From the moment you, from the very opening of Sin City, you're like, oh my god, what the hell did Rodriguez do? Because remember, guys, Robert Rodriguez was always like Quentin Tarantino's like little brother, and um, like he's always been a dude who has sort of like been such a huge fan of Tarantino, and people have always said, "Oh, he's always living up to Tarantino." And before Sin City, Rodriguez was always known as the guy who did From Dusk Till Dawn and Desperado. I think his films were really Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn. But I think Rodriguez, who was a huge fan of what Frank Miller did in the comics, was like, you know what? I want to adapt this. But what was amazing about this and the brilliance of this was, you see, Sin City could easily look like a regular film, color, like a history of violence. But Rodriguez was like, no, there's a reason why Frank Miller put this in black and white. And there is a way, there's a feeling that he evokes in this film that I have to present in film form. So that's why I think they used blue screen. I think they used green screen and even blue screen. But yes, he is Planetara, and guys, Planetara is a really good film. Planetara is a really good film. Um, so Sin City is an incredible achievement. I'll say this: Mickey Rourke's character, I think is it Hartigan? Mickey Rourke's character and his segment for me is one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my entire life. Because obviously it's still an amazing film. Everything's amazing. All the stories are amazing. But Mickey Rourke's bits in Sin City is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. But the way in which the film looks like, how it was made, it's like you it's like you're looking at a comic book. But what makes this amazing is similar to what Tim Burton did. The balance between getting the feeling of a comic book, but still maintaining the aesthetic and the kinds of rules of a film is why it is such a brilliant piece of work. Such a brilliant piece of work. And again, what I like is whenever you make a film that stands out, that is unique, that is different, that has something special, that has something unique. There is no other film that comes close to even looking like Sense and City. No other film even comes close. And when you just think of adapting a comic book and really putting it on film form, no film has done it better than Sense and City. So that is why for me, not even for me, like I will argue with anyone that without a doubt, this is the best, top, greatest, number uno, best comic book movie film that there is, man. So there you have it, man. And also, Bruce Willis, who has been sort of fading um, in his last few years. This is probably one of the last few great performances um, that your boy has had, man. But you see, now look, Jessica Alba was great in this. So was Rosario Dawson, and Carla Gugino was tops tier. What is this? Come on, I didn't. Okay, what about Sucker Punch? Do you know that? Look at the girls that are in Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is a pile of garbage trash. So obviously, you're never gonna say no to seeing sexy women like dance on a pole and everything. But It's a brilliant film, man. It is a brilliant film, and it's the artistry of it is superb. Now, there are some omissions, and I'm happy to discuss these omissions. No Spider-Man, and that depresses me. Of I really made a top 10 comic book movie list, and one of my personal favorite comic book characters isn't even on it. Spider-Man. All of Raimi's films were cheesy, and Spider-Man 2 is overrated. Spider-Man Green Goblin looks like a loser in Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 3 is one of the worst films of all time. Amazing Spider-Man just missed the boat completely. And Spider-Man in MCU is a B-Tech Iron Man. No Dark Knight. For me, Dark Knight is the Joker film. Joker runs that film. And as a comic book movie, it really, for me, it doesn't work as a comic book movie. As a film, it's a decent film. Overrated as a decent film. Rises is a joke. No, Rises does not rise. It's called Dark Knight Lowers. That's a new film. It's not called Dark Knight Rises. It's called Dark Knight Lowers. Stupid film with one of the dumbest endings of all time. Rise has one of the dumbest endings of all time. You see, Spawn was had some pretty interesting effects, but I think they sort of lost the plot. And for me personally, I still think they can really come back and do something good with a Spider-Man film. Sorry, I think they can come back and redo something with a Spawn film, hopefully, on the way through. But now some people are mentioning V for Vendetta. People are mentioning V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta I thought was really good, but see, it would go on my honorable mentions. It would go on my honorable mentions. I don't think it was a standard or good enough to make the top 10. But I think it was up to a standard to make it's top 10. But it was cool. It was cool. You see, The Mask isn't a great film. It just has an outstanding performance. Every time I see The Mask, I don't watch The Mask because, The Mask is this superb, amazing film that does all these crazy things. I watch The Mask because of Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey really is the kind of driving force as to why that film is so money. It's the kind of driving force for why the film is so money, man. So this is top 10 comic book movies, aka comic book films, not animation. So animation isn't going to be here. so I don't know what you think. I don't know how you think that animation would find its way there. Animation is not going to be in this, so I don't really know how you're going to roll. Look, see, I haven't watched the V for Vendetta in a while though. The thing about V for Vendetta is, see, this is the key thing of why V for Vendetta isn't there. It didn't really do anything more interesting. You see, it didn't really improve upon the comic book. And in my view, the comic book I think was more deeper and perhaps better than the film. The film was a good adaptation, but it didn't do anything more. If you look at my list, everything on my list you could argue is better than what you had in the comic book. You could argue that everything on my list was either improved upon what you had in the comic book or gave you something interesting, an interesting take, an interesting artistic keyword artistic take from what you had in the comic book. V for Vendetta, I don't think is that different from what you had in the comic book. So I don't know how I would put that on here. Really. Um, you see, Deadpool. Hey, Red Devil Studio, but what up, baby? Um, Deadpool is not a great film. Look, man, I'm sorry. I'm actually glad that thing isn't it. See, Deadpool, Deadpool is a tricky one because I think Ryan Reynolds is definitely one of the most overrated dudes out there. Um, Deadpool is really for me, Deadpool is was great in representing the character, and it's really good casting. So the best thing about Deadpool was, oh my gosh, wow, this character really works well. The film isn't very good, and maybe it's just me. The jokes didn't work for me. The jokes just really did not work for me in Deadpool. So, and it seemed as if they were just trying to regurgitate the same jokes again and again and again and again. And I was like, you know what, this is not becoming tiresome, man. Um, I liked Speed Racer. Now, I don't think it makes my top 10. I don't think it even makes my honorable mentions. But I liked I really liked Speed Racer. But wasn't this based off a cartoon, not a comic? I think it was based off an anime, or maybe it was a manga before. But look, man, Speed Racer. Because I think a few people were like, "Oh no, Speed Racer is." I liked it. Bum 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 dun 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 dun. Dun. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go. I think I'm gonna put that on my list to watch again, man. I'm gonna put that on my list to watch again. Um. So, oh, look at it, Logan. The thing about Logan is see, I just want to go down this road again. Logan is cool, but look, I'm all about honesty, guys, and I am always here to be fully honest. Two things. One thing you already know, and one thing you may not know. The one thing you may not know is that girl annoyed the heck out of me. I'm sorry. That girl annoyed the flipping heck out of me. I was like, oh, another little girl who can do these amazing things. And like Yawnsville. Another thing that somewhat I still just don't get, the guy is too tall. The guy is too tall. So as I'm watching Logan, even as a film, like, yeah, but I just find it hard to really connect with the story. But I'll say this: Logan is easily, without a doubt, the best X-Men related film. 100%. It is easily just that, well, the competition is not that great, but it is easily by eons the best um um thingy film, man. Um so it's like, and guys, look, see, I watched X-Men recently, man. And look, like I can't, man. I can't. Um I can't, man. I can't, man. It's just so hard for me to cope. Like, just give me a short. Give me a short dude. That's what I want. All I want is a short dude. Um, that's the. Are there any good female superhero movies? To come, so I'll be real with you. I'll be real with you because I ain't watching Black Widow. Wow. Because first of all, how many female superhero movies are there? Saying how many, yeah, how many even good female superhero movies out there? But my thing though is, if you pick, because I've been watching the X-Men cartoon series right now. Although she's not a superhero, although she's not a superhero, Tank Girl is really good. And do you know why Tank Girl is good? It doesn't make an OP character. I cannot stand this whole thing of a girl who has twig arms beating up huge guys. I was like, oh, because I'm a girl. I'm like, shut up. See, Tank Girl is a great character that works. She's got a great sense of humor. She's got a great characteristic and it works. So I think if you do it well and you do it proper and somewhat, it can work. So I think Tank Girl is something that works well, because it's believable. But you see, for me again, let me see, watching the X-Men cartoon series, man, you could make a really good Storm film, but you need the right director and the right writer. But if you do it right, you could make a really good and really interesting Storm film. Because I say, wait a minute, forget the garbage with Halle Berry in the films. Storm is an amazing character. When you think of what she can do, her powers, her origins, Storm is an amazing character. And it would make a really good film. But you have to do it right. But you would have to do the film right, man. And I just do not know whether people would be able to really do the film right. Guys, that's all for me. Oh, and also people saying Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman would have been an amazing film if not for Gal Gadot, man. Gal Gadot is a trash actress, man. So I don't care how attractive she is. Being attractive doesn't mean that you're automatically a good actor. And Wonder Woman was decent. Horrible acting from her, man. So guys, look, man, hope you enjoyed this top 10. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Hope this was good. Hope this was great. I'm probably going to have another good meal. Oh, guys, remember as well, the member things have launched on this channel, so you can now become a member of this channel. Because what I'm going to be doing is watch-alongs. So I'm going to be having a function where members can basically watch films and watch stuff. Just also watch animes, cartoons, films, comedy shows with me. So that is launched. I'll probably do a video just to explain that more. And also, so Friday is my trip to Japan. 7 p.m. I'll be talking about my trip to Japan live stream. And the next top 10 are going to be top 10 favorite comedians of all time. Top 10 favorite comedians. That's going to be me and your boy Danny T. So me and your boy Danny T will be doing top 10 comedians. So guys, it's been good. It's been swell. Think about becoming a member and supporting your boy. I will see you guys again on Friday with more content.